So welcome to this very short video which is talking about the seasonal cycle embodied, and I'm looking at what sometimes are called the antique points or the transporter points, and specifically I'm looking at Ling Shu 1, which describes the actions of these points. So here is an old picture of some of the antique points or the transporting points, because they have different flow characters and they're seasonally associated in the Ling Shu. And I think that this is one of the ways to show that humans follow the seasons. So Ling Shu 1 tells us about the qualities of these antique points or transporter points. And here we're talking about the very first one, the ones on the tips of the fingers and toes, which is called a Jing point. It's sometimes called a Jing well point because there's the idea about the well. So here's the character for the Jing, the well, which looks like a well. You can see there. Sometimes they talk about the fact that it's a well in between houses, right in the centre of a house. This would be where the well is, for instance. And what do these Jing points do? Well, what they do is they come out, and this is the character for coming out. So something to do with coming out of something, springing out, sending out, something coming out of an enclosure. And then when we look at Ling Shu 44, it says storing is ruled by winter. Winter rules storing. So in winter, then we pierce the well points, the Jing wells. And then later on it says, as for diseases in winter, then you choose the Jing points, the Jing well points. Back to Ling Shu 1. And we're talking about the next transporting points, which are Ying. Ying spring, sometimes they're called. It's a spring, it's a pool. Here it is. The idea of water coming out from underneath something that is covering it. And there are flames on top. This is fire on top. So originally it was the idea of the rising or the dashing of waves. And what do these Ying spring points do? Well, they slide, they glide, it's a swift current, it's slipping, it's slippery. So the idea of this water that's coming out dense and thick. And back to Ling Shu 44. It says the colour or the complexion is ruled by springtime. And so in springtime, then we pierce the spring, the Ying spring points. And then it says, as for disease changes in the colour or in the complexion, then you must choose the spring point. So back to Ling Shu 1. And now we're looking at the Shu, we call it Shu stream, but it's actually the same character as transporter point. So it could be the Shu stream point or the Shu transporter point. And actually the character itself is the idea of a boat that is moving along the river. And what does it do? It pours. This is a pouring character. So where the Shu stream points are, then the water is pouring, it's irrigating, it's filling. And what does Ling Shu 44 say about this? It says the time or the season is ruled by summertime. So in summertime, then we pierce the Shu transporter points or the Shu stream points. As for disease throughout time, which can be sometimes mild or sometimes severe, then we need to choose the Shu stream point or the Shu transporter point. Back to Ling Shu 1. and the next one is what's sometimes called a Jing River point, but actually the character is the same as the character for the main channel. It's also the same character is used for a classic, a canon, canonical medicine, or even for a warp as opposed to a weft thread. So what do these channels or Jing River points do? Well, they do this, they Jing, which means to move, to circulate, and this is the same character as we have in 5 elements or 5 phases. Here it is. And it's the idea of one step, the left foot, and then the next step, the right foot. So this idea about one step after another. So moving forward in a regular pattern, just like we would expect a channel to do. And Ling Shu 44, it says the tones or the voices are ruled by long summer. So in long summer, then we pierce the Jing River or the channel. Difficult to tell which one they mean here. As for disease, where there are changes in the tone or in the voice, then you choose its channel or its Jing River point. And finally, Ling Shu 1, it's talking about what we call the He points, but actually the character He means to join, to connect, to communicate, to combine. It means interpenetration, even sexual intercourse. So this is where things are coming together, a confluence of all those water structures that we've seen so far. And what do? Well, they enter, and entering is the opposite of exiting, which is what the Jing well point did, you might remember. And that's it. And Ling Shu 44 says the tastes are ruled by autumn. In autumn you pierce the He points or the confluence points. If the river or the channel is full of blood, then the disease is in the stomach. So perhaps that's when we choose the He. Also, if the disease, this is the if the disease is from food and drink not nodal, meaning not regular intake of food and drink, then choose its He. Hence, we say that the tastes are ruled by the He. And that's the end of that. Thank you very much.